Okay, this video is Parallelograms Part 2. Let's scroll down to... Well, first let's stop here. This is the important part of this. You need to know the rules of the parallelograms. So parallelograms, opposite sides are parallel. I'm just going to put the symbol here for parallel. That means that this side is parallel to this side, and this side is parallel to this side. Opposite sides are congruent. Just put the symbol. That means this is congruent to this, and this side is congruent to this side. Opposite angles are congruent. Try and draw a congruency symbol. Change colors here might help. This is congruent to this angle, and this angle is congruent to this angle. Consecutive angles are supplementary. That means they add up to 180 degrees. So this green angle right here and the one next to it add up to 180 degrees. And diagonals bisect each other. That means this point right here is a midpoint. This is congruent to this, and this would be congruent to this. So those are the properties of parallelograms, okay? Now let's scroll down to where we stopped in the last video. And I believe we were right here on this quick check where it says X, Y, Z, W is a parallelogram. So you need to draw a four-sided figure. It doesn't have to look like a parallelogram just for your picture. X, Y, Z, W. With diagonals that intersect at point A. So what we know is that this is congruent to this and this to this. That's what we know about diagonals. So what information do they give us? They tell us that YA, so from here to here, is 2t. Then they give us WA. So YA and WA, okay? WA is 3t minus 4. So we set them equal to each other, okay? We have 2t is equal to 3t minus 4. If we subtract 2t from both sides, we get 0 is equal to t minus 4. Then we would add 4, and you would get t is equal to 4. Okay, here, then they actually ask for the measurement of YA. Sometimes I forget. Make sure you go back and answer the question that's asking. So if they ask for the distance from Y to A was 2t. So you have to multiply 2 times 4, and YA is 8. All right. Let's look at example 5. Use parallelogram to find the indicated values. Okay, this is, I wish I could write a little smaller here. I'm going to try my best to make this not too confusing. But anyway, the first thing I'm going to notice here is I would go ahead and try and write all of the measurements that I can in my picture first, and then go back and answer the questions. I see vertical angles first thing. So 117, and right above that, let me see what color would be best. We'll try this one. So this angle has to also be 117. Now I see a linear pair. Okay, that's a linear pair. So 180 minus 117 is going to be 63. So these have to be 63 degrees. Okay, now I have a triangle up here. Let me try and change colors. This is a triangle. Okay, there's 4 triangles. But in this triangle that I drew first, we know those all have to add up to 180. So if I add 117 and 23, I get 140. So that means that this angle right here has to be 40. I can do the same thing on this angle over here, on this triangle. 80 and 63 is 143. So this needs to be 37. Okay, what other angles can we put? We know that see what I have so far. Okay, okay, now I know. We are going to have to go to, let me get a different color. Opposite sides are parallel. So here as well. Okay, so go back to the idea of two parallel lines and a transversal. This angle and this angle are alternate interior angles. So if that angle is 23, this angle has to be 23. Same thing going in the opposite way. This angle is 40. This angle is 40. 80, 80, 37, 37. Okay, it's kind of hard to draw all that in here. But remember, when we have parallel lines, we can go back to the two parallel lines cut by a transversal, and alternate interior angles are going to be congruent. So let me use a different color here, maybe this orange. So this angle and this angle are alternate interior, as well as this angle and this one. And going the other way, here and here, and then the 80 and the 80. So now we can fill in, if I can read there, AEB. AEB is this right here, so that is 117. BAE. BAE is this 40 degrees. AED is this right here, that's 63. BAD, that's this entire angle right here. So you add 80 and 40, 120. DCE, that's this little one here, that's 40. And ADC, that's this whole angle right here. So add 37 and 23, and you get 60. So made for a lot of writing in that little picture there, so hopefully you were able to follow all of that. Okay. So pause if you need to, because I'm going to erase. Oh, there were two more. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to remember, but let's see. ECB, let me go back. ECB was this one right here, so that would have been the same as this one, that's 80. And then DCB. DCB is this whole big angle here. So this was 40, I believe. So that would have been 120. Okay. Sorry, I didn't see that. All right. Great. Let's look at what's left. So let's go here. And this one here, we're going to be just filling in. It's a little easier, not as much on this one paper, on this one page. So if this one's 80, X is 80, because opposite angles are congruent. So X would be 80. I would do Z next. Z, this is a consecutive angle. These two are consecutive, and these two are consecutive, so they have to add up to 180. So that is 100 for Z. And then that would make this angle 100. And then this exterior angle over here would be 80, because we have a linear pair. Okay, let's look at the middle one. And I suggest that you pause the video now and try and do BC on your own. But, okay. I would go ahead and fill in 120 and 120. And then if this is 35, this one has to be 35, because those are alternate interior angles. Now we can find X a couple different ways. One is this entire angle, okay, these two together, and this one up here, those are supplementary because all that together is has to add up to 180 because they're supplementary. Or you could look at this triangle over here. That all has to add up to 180, so that's another way. So I'll do that. 120 plus 35 is 155, and 180 minus 155 is 25. So that's 25, z is 120, and y is 35. On the last one, okay, alternate interiors, so 30 and x has to be 30. These two form a linear pair. So if this is 70, z has to be 110. This would also be a linear pair going this way. So this is 110, and we said that was 30. So if you add 110 and 30, you have 140. If you subtract that from 180, you can get y, which would be 40. So in these, there's kind of a lot of different ways to kind of go about, usually more than one way to get the answer, but you're going to have to use the properties that you know about parallelograms. Okay, I think we have one more problem at the bottom. Okay, well, two together. Find the values of x and y and ensure that ensure that it's a parallelogram. So in other words, if it's a parallelogram, opposite angles are congruent. So that means 6y would be equal to 30. So if you divide by 6, y would be equal to 5. And then x, these two together are supplementary. So if we add 5x plus 10 and 30, that's going to be 5x plus 40. We set that equal to 180, and we get 5x equals 140. And we divide by 5. And let me use my calculator. 140 divided by 5 is, I think it's 28. But my calculator, sorry, is giving me trouble. One more time. 140 divided by 5 is 28. I always like to double check my math. Okay? Okay, last problem. These are alternate interior angles. So 3y plus 1, that's a y, is equal to 28. And then these are alternate interior. So 14x plus 1 equals 113. So if I subtract 1 from both sides here, I get 14x equals 112, and then divide by 14. 112 divided by 14 is 8. So x is 8. And then down here, subtract 1, and I get 3y is equal to 27. So y is equal to 9. All right. I know this is a little long, but the rest of them, after we get the parallelograms, they start to get a little easier because it's a lot of repetitive. So good luck.